It comes from the knowing that I'm supposed to be here right now. The course was 6 years in total, and year 5 I quit. I started my career in law in a very self-destructive chapter of my life. But I will give him the credit for triggering the fuck out of me. Hello and welcome. My name is Natasha from Natasha Earth Angel, and today I wanted to start my first vlog. I don't like that word. It makes me feel out of my depth. But yeah, I wanted to start my first vlog, my first video, with an introduction to how I have reached this chapter in my life where I am currently in Bali, in what feels very much like paradise. And the old version of me, my past self, as I often use in attempt to put into words the old version of me who kind of feels like a different person. I'm not sure if you said to her, you're gonna be in Bali, having booked a one-way ticket, having sold all your belongings, your flat, your car, you know, quit law, I don't think she would have believed you. I know she wouldn't have believed you. For having said that, I think she she would have loved you. Like, she would have been super excited and maybe also emotional, because I can feel that emotion coming up now, and it's interesting because I think the emotion it comes from the knowing that I'm supposed to be here right now. And I felt that actually when I landed in Bali on the plane. Just as I landed, I had this overwhelming emotion surface, and it was, I'm supposed to be here. This is one thing you'll learn you'll learn to know about me. I'm a very emotional being these days, which is another big difference between me and my past self. The past self that didn't cry, that didn't really feel emotion, very numb. And now I feel everything so intensely. I see everything so intensely, and I'm really grateful for that, because it makes me, I feel I experience like everything, like the full spectrum. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle and go on a tangent. The purpose of this initial video is firstly for you to get a feel of who I am, but primarily to inspire, to empower, to make others feel and see that you are powerful enough just by being a human, just by living this human experience, you are worthy and powerful enough of having and creating the life that you dream of. I think for me, the thing I've realized most on my journey is that with the right intention, with pure intention, with strength and determination and a whole load of gratitude and self-love, you really can, you can create just about anything. And that's hopefully what you guys will grow to realize is something you can tap into. So my journey, when I was 2021, I started an apprenticeship whereby I worked full-time to begin with as a junior paralegal, and I did my law degree alongside work, and yeah, I was and still am very grateful for the opportunity to do that. You know, it was a sought after position. I had to go through quite a lot of vigorous assessment interviews, that kind of thing, to secure that position, and I had to work really damn hard in school, in doing my GCSEs and my A-levels. It was a challenge, and as I say, I was grateful, and still I'm grateful to have received that opportunity. I was in law for 5 years and worked my way up to from a junior paralegal to level 2 paralegal, and then to like trainee solicitor kind of level when I had completed my law degree and started the solicitor side of things. The course was 6 years in total, and year 5 I quit. And it was a tough decision, a decision which many people who knew me, like family and friends, thought I was, losing my marbles, going a bit crazy perhaps. Like, why would you do 5 years of hard work to then have 1 year left and quit? But it felt right in my heart. I went into law from a place of a lot of ego, a lot of high expectations of myself, tendency of like perfectionism, and the past version of me that decided I wanted to pursue a career in law was one who was very wounded. I started my career in law in a very self-destructive chapter of my life. I was constantly drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, was surrounded by people who weren't really great friends, weren't really healthy friends, and I wasn't a healthy friend back. It was on both sides. I used abused relationship with men who were not very good for me, in attempt to further self-destruct, to further numb myself. And I was in this cycle of not wanting to feel childhood trauma which I hadn't processed. And so instead of doing the hard work and healing the pain, I just bottled it all up, put on a really good front, like a really good mask, and just pretended, just I felt so numb, but that wouldn't have been what you would have perceived me from the outside. You know, I became good at this, and I know now that the chameleon, masking, putting on a front, whatever you want to call it, was something I actually learned quite early on, although I didn't realise that until years later. And I think it's a pattern I picked up from my childhood, like the toxic, quite often very painful home life I was experiencing. I would leave at home and go to school and put on this front of everything's great, and that's exactly what my mum did. You know, she would pull up at the school gates and I have a happy family, I have a happy marriage, life is great. And you know, that wasn't truth. And I don't say this in a way of or coming from a place of like disrespect for myself or for my mum's coping patterns. I come from a place of compassion, and that sometimes life can be really tough, and the world can be quite a painful place, and so sometimes it can be easier for us to suppress all of our emotions, all of our pain, all of our feeling, and bury it deep down in a place where we can forget about it, not face it head on. And yeah, that was where I was. That was kind of the energy I was in when I started law. And law was a further escape for me because it was so intense, required so much concentration, was so high pressure, caseload, deadlines, court deadlines, that you didn't really have a chance to think about anything else other than what you were doing in work, because it was so fast-paced and high pressure. It would take a lot of focus and energy, right? And then I would work in the day, finish, and then study and do my law degree in the evenings and on the weekends. So I think, you know, I maybe had like one day off, which was normally on a Sunday, but then during the Sunday you're quite often running like your errands of like the things you need to catch up on, your washing, like cleaning your house, that kind of thing. And so my life was quite was quite full on. Not much time to really evaluate how, like, check in with myself. I don't think I ever really did that because I was just on this hamster wheel. And a year or so in, I met my now ex-partner, and I think really, and I don't want to give him all the credit because I did the work myself, right? But I will give him the credit for triggering the fuck out of me. He really did trigger me hard. And he was coming from a place of love. He wanted the best for me. But God, was it a shock to my system, because he kind of, what I reflect on it now is like shone these bright lights, like the really, really bright, what's the word? Like the ones they use like on set in films, like the really bright lights on areas of my life which I hadn't been addressing. And I was almost then like clear focused on the self-destructive patterns, the self-destructive behaviours that I had created in my life, and were now sort of my normal. I didn't look at them as self-destructive behaviours because that was just the way I lived. But he made me realise how I was living, and I will always, and he knows this, I will always be so grateful for him doing that for me, because I mean, I'm sure at some point I probably would have hit rock bottom in this self-destruction, to the point where I would have had to have realised, or maybe I wouldn't have, I don't know. Everything's part of the divine plan, right? I was meant to meet him. But yeah, it was almost for me like a catalyst of change. And I started counselling, and the primary focus in counselling was childhood healing, a lot of inner child work. And that's sort of when I started peeling back all of the layers. I remember one of the exercises which stood out to me, my counsellor was quite CBT focused, cognitive behaviour therapy, and we would sort of do various exercises to help process the past, but also see and address my behaviours so that I could integrate a better way of being in my current to future self. And we did this exercise whereby she asked me to describe all these emotions which she put up on a board, describe the feeling of that emotion, and then give an example of when I had felt it. And it was emotions like sad, happy, excited, grateful, grief, sadness, depression, and I remember I was sat on the chair staring at this board, and I just broke down in tears. And she was like, what's the matter? And I said, I can't say that I feel anything other than good or bad. Like, I'm either happy or sad. So seeing all of these emotions on the board, I can't tell you what they feel like or when I've experienced them, because I don't know how to. And that was like a real eye-opener of like how much I really had been suppressing my emotions. And I changed a lot of my behaviours. I like stopped drinking alcohol was a big one for me. Was completely sober, and the clarity I got from that in itself was like huge. And so I stopped that and basically went into a bit of a hermit. I kind of isolated myself from the world, and I remember I spent a lot of time at my ex's house. He lived with his parents and 2 beautiful dogs, and I remember just almost utilizing like the safe like family container that he brought for me. I moved out when I was 17, so I'd lived on my own, like not at my parents since quite a young age, and yeah, it was like his family became my family, and I was just kind of in this little nest where I could reflect on everything that counselling brought up, and just go through like the different stages of healing. And I feel I sort of healed my emotional body, and as I was healing my emotional body, my want to just heal myself, to love myself, to give my body what it needed gradually sort of trickled in, and I started being more conscious just about like health, like about exercise, like what I was consuming, and I struggled a lot with various health conditions, which I think a lot of them were emotional or lifestyle led. For example, one of them was that I had recurrent UTIs, like I used to suffer really bad with bladder infections. And I know now through the courses that I've done, but also the healing work I've done on myself, that the bladder and kidney meridian are heavily linked with the emotion of anxiety and fear. And that makes a lot of sense for the lack of safety that I felt when I was a child, that I carried through into my young adulthood, in my nervous system, but also in the life choices I was making. And so I started seeing a beautiful kinesiologist who worked further on my emotional body and the trapped emotions which were kind of stored within my cells that were then causing physical symptoms. But also we worked a lot with like clearing toxins and bacteria and fungus and stuff from my body, primarily my gut. Like I had really high levels of candida, which is a type of like a yeast, which should just sit in our colon, but mine had spread, and my digestive system was in a bad place. I cleared my physical body, had cleared sort of layers of my emotional body, and then at this stage, that's when I really started connecting with what I refer to as like my spiritual body. And this is when the shift started to begin for me in terms of reassessing life choices, my purpose, my connection to the divine, and the connection to myself. And this is what I primarily focus on now in the intuitive coaching that I do, because I think it's various layers. You know, it's not just we connect spiritually and then are able to make the best, highest choices for ourselves in alignment with like our highest good and the path which our soul wants us to be on, like our highest calling. In my experience, it's peeling back the layers of the emotional trauma, the things that we have in our subconscious mind, our limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, the lack of self-love we have for ourselves, the way we have been conditioned by society, the way that we've been conditioned by our parents, by ourselves, by the school system. It's peeling back all of that to access our inner power, our inner wisdom. It's creating a safe place within our nervous system. It's creating a safe place for our soul to reside in. Because this here is just it's our vessel, and our spirit is within this physical vessel that we have in this incarnation. And if our physical body is in a bad place, then our soul is residing in something which is potentially full of like bacteria or toxins or and in terms of like the frequency we're operating at, or just in simple terms, the way that we feel has a lot to do with all these three things. When I healed my emotional body and my physical body, I started to really reassess where I was in life. And this trickled in for me from about 6 months to a year. And then there was like a pinnacle point, which I'll get to. I had a mortgage at 21. So I owned my own flat. I was obviously working in law. I had a partner who I loved very much. You know, I had what society potentially says to us is like the aim of this human game that we play. You know, you get the mortgage, you get your partner, you have a successful job that's like all the things which society deems to be success, right? That you've made it however you want to put it. But you know, generally then you work up the corporate ladder, and maybe then you buy like a house with your partner, and it's nice, and you have a nice car, and then you maybe get married and have children, and then you work until you're whatever age, and then you retire, and you know, that's how life goes. But I started to recognize I had all these things which society had told me should mean that I'm happy, that I'm fulfilled, that I'm content, and I wasn't. There was nothing like wrong with my life. I, like I say, was very in love with my partner at the time, like had a job which I had worked really hard to get, was very fortunate to have a mortgage and like a place of my own at a young age, and I couldn't help but feel like this wasn't where I wanted to be. And the pinnacle moment of me realizing this, I went to a sober festival And during the Sober Festival, I attended a cacao ceremony, which I think would have been my second or third cacao ceremony. For those who don't know, cacao it's a raw form of chocolate from the cacao bean, and the ceremonial grade is a beautiful plant medicine which opens you up to all that is, to your higher self, to your heart chakra in particular, the love, the bliss that it releases within you is, it really is special, and it's something I use quite often now as a way to really connect with myself, with my heart, with my inner knowing. And I went to this Sober Festival. My ex-partner, the same weekend, went to a adult Button weekend. Some of the people watching this might know what the adult Button weekend is and not know what a cacao ceremony is, and some people might know what a cacao ceremony is but not have a clue what an adult Button weekend is, because they are very opposite. They are very different. But I went to this cacao ceremony at this Sober Festival, and the words that were spoken at this cacao ceremony, they just touched me on another level. And most of the thought-provoking reflections which they encouraged us to integrate were surrounding, what isn't serving you? What do you know isn't serving you? What do you know you need to let go of? But for some reason you're holding on to it, despite knowing that you shouldn't be. Despite knowing maybe it's making you unhappy, that it's not serving your highest and best good, your highest and best version. And I remember just thinking, all of it, all of it has to go. Like, this isn't a reflection of the version that I am now. This is all a reflection of my past self, my past unhealed version, that, wanted to do law because it met the high expectations I had of myself. It met this wounded perfectionism I was in. It met my ego that just wanted to feel good enough, that wanted to feel worthy, and so thought being able to call myself a lawyer would make me feel worthy enough, would make me feel accepted by people and by myself. The flat which I had, which I was so grateful for but didn't feel like home, I never wanted to be there. It reminded me of the past toxic version that bought the flat. I always wanted to be in a safe container at my ex's house and never spent any time there, so I was paying all this money out for a flat which I wasn't using. And then lastly, my partner, we had so much love for each other, but we were on such different paths, and I think the adult Button weekend and the Sober Festival kind of reflects that in a slightly humorous way, and I think it was something that we both recognised but didn't want to admit because we loved each other so much. A joke he would often say was, "You want a vegetable patch and I want a Lamborghini," and that was our light-hearted way of speaking about how we were really feeling without having the conversation maybe we needed to have. But we grew apart a lot. Our values, our goals, our aspirations in life became very, very different. And I couldn't help but feel that we were holding each other back from like our fullest potential. And so the day I got back from the festival, me and my ex-partner had a conversation, and we decided to end our relationship, which was probably one of the toughest things that I've been through. Still emotion there now, but almost 2 years on, I have reached a level of acceptance and knowing that it all unfolded exactly as it was supposed to, which I'm very grateful for. And the following day, on the Monday, I didn't go back to work. I signed myself off sick, and then I 3 weeks later put my flat up for sale. And fast forward a year and a half, I am now in Bali. I sold my flat after, it was a tough journey selling my flat actually. About a year it took me to sell, and sold all of my possessions minus a backpack, which you might be able to see just here. This is all the possessions that I own. And oh no, actually that's not entirely true. I have another small backpack in there with like my laptop and stuff in, but I don't own many possessions anymore. And sold my car, booked a one-way ticket to Bali, and here I am doing this vlog thing. I don't say this in a way of, you know, it's easy, just quit, just break up, just sell, because it's not easy, and because letting go of things is hard, but it's necessary. That's one thing I've really noticed and learned, is that you have to create space for new to come in, and you have to let go of the old for the new to be birthed. And one thing I constantly told myself in this transition was, like, I am nature. We are nature. We are Mother Earth's children. And just like nature, we have our winter, we have our spring, we have our summer, we have our autumn, and we move in cycles. And my cycle, you know, my autumn and my winter lasted a long time. Like, it wasn't 3 months for each. It was a true representation of me being from England, because my autumn and my winter went on for a very, very long time. I was like, when is my spring going to come? Like, when am I going to see new buds? Because it was just constantly like letting go of all the leaves on my tree, and it was letting go, and some leaves were so painful to let go of. Some leaves took me so long to fully let go of. Maybe some leaves I haven't fully let go of. Like, there might be some on my branches where I'm like, they're a bit old, and I'm in the process of still letting go of those ones. And then the winter, you're just bare, and you're almost doubting, should I have let go of all of those leaves? Because I can't see any of the new stuff yet. I can't see any of the new buds. I can't see any new flowers or leaves forming. I'm just in this cold winter where my branches are bare and all my leaves are below me and they're just decaying. And then spring comes. And during that process, whilst you're waiting for spring to come, the level of trust you have to have is trust like I've never had to have before. So it's not easy. It isn't easy. But I think the best things in life, the things that we appreciate most in life, often aren't easy. Because, you know, if my journey had been, I quit my job, sell my flat, split with my boyfriend, within 3 months, I'm in an exotic country, I've got a new job which is in line with my soul purpose, I've met the man of my dreams and we're living happily ever after, would I really appreciate all those new things if they just came with such ease? Probably not. It's almost like the journey is part of the appreciation, and it's like I've really come to enjoy the journey, like enjoy the full spectrum of life. You know, another analogy, if you like, that would quite often give me faith and trust and comfort was that if we didn't have these low times, then we wouldn't have the high times. It's like the yin and yang, the light and the dark. We have to go through these lower, painful, dark, icky, nightmare times, traumatic, painful times, in order for us to experience the beautiful, light, blissful, loving, peaceful times. And it's like an elastic band. The more we stretch into the dark, the more we propel into the light, and it's this ever stretching journey. And I know without all of those painful times, all of that letting go, I wouldn't be experiencing all of the beautiful highs that I am right now. So yeah, I'm truly, truly grateful for all of it. Yeah. So that is like a speedy tour of my journey, but I don't think it's really that speedy because I like to talk and I seem to get in different tangents. But this is my first vlog, so be gentle with me. I've had repeated messages that this is something that I'm supposed to do. Share my voice. So I hope at least one person, but let's think bigger than that. I hope 10,000 people watch this and gain something. Because why not? Why would 10,000 people not watch this? We have to think big, right? Maybe I'm not even thinking big enough. Yeah, send in much love and thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it is a powerful enough message for you to reflect on your life and what isn't serving you, and find the courage to know that you are worthy enough not to have to settle. Because why am I any different to you are? Why would I be any more capable of letting go and stepping into something which your heart, my heart desires? We are all human, living this weird and wonderful human experience, and I am no more capable than you are. So believe, trust, dive in and feel and know that you have you have unlimited potential, unlimited ability, unlimited power to create the life which you dream of. But you just have to find the courage to let go of all that isn't your dream life in order for your dream life to come in. I'm sending you so much love, and yeah, see you on the next one if I don't get too much vlog fright.